What is up, Footballer Nation? It's Carson here with Footballers Anonymous. Just thought I'd give you a quick heads up before this week's episode. This one is a bit of a longer one, kind of like what we saw at the beginning of the season. Part of that's because we missed a week. We'll explain why that happened when we get into the pod. And part of that is just because there's a lot of stuff happening at the end of the season. So relax. You don't need to listen to it all in one sitting. Just sit back, enjoy. Lots of great content, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to the greatest rising podcast in football. I'm Carson, and I'm a Cardsaholic, and we swept the Niners.
I'm Alex, and I'm a Billsaholic back in the playoffs.
I'm Ian. I'm a Bearsaholic, and we won the Super Bowl. We beat the Green Bay Packers.
Just want to point out, Alex and I said that you would at least win one more game. And you did.
Now for more on
the last 2 weeks, stay tuned for the rest of the pod. But first, let's roll that intro. Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to Footballers Anonymous, coming at you after a crazy 2 weeks of football.
Yeah. So we didn't record last week because we had some difficulties with.
We had a lot of things going on last week.
Part of it was because we had a little bit too much mayotivation. More like Carson, but
I did have a little too much mayotivation. I was at the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and it was pretty sad. But I also knew we were going to lose because the transfer portal and the NFL draft. But, you know, it was a good time. I'm now 0-2 in Bank of America Stadium. Ooh.
I don't get why players declare for the draft or enter the transfer portal before the season's over.
It's
like if you have a bowl game, stay and play the bowl game.
It's so stupid. I disagree with it, but
for you, because you get to see Colin Schlee play.
I did. I got to see. He didn't play the whole game. It was a beautiful tutty. Very good. Anyways, so we missed week 17 because I was there and also in Arizona, and we just had a million things going on. So we're gonna cover 2 weeks of content for you in this episode. Thank you for sticking with us. Maybe a bit of a longer episode, but we're gonna get through it. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Ian with week 17.
So, week 17, we weren't really here. I'm just going to do a quick run through real quick. The Bengals were going on a generational playoff run, starting the season 4-8, going 8-8. More on that in a little bit. CeeDee Lamb went out for the season, so he's missing both week 17 and 18, which have obviously already happened. Chuba Hubbard was placed on IR. Teddy Bridgewater made his return to the NFL after winning the state championship with his former high school as a head coach. Amari Cooper hit 10,000 career receiving yards with the Bills. He joins Julio Jones as the only Alabama wide receivers to achieve this milestone. Baker Mayfield has gone undefeated against Carolina since being cut by them. 4 rookies this season have had 1,000 reception yards. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers broke the tight end reception yards record previously held by Mike Ditka, the Bear Down, who also did it in like half the receptions, by the way. Kind of crazy. The Commanders' Jeremy Reeves proposed after Washington clinched a playoff berth. She said yes. Congratulations to you, Jeremy Reeves.
That was cool.
Sauce Gardner told a fan on Instagram that he would not be telling T. Higgins to come to New York. Ezekiel Elliott was waived by the Cowboys, and the 2025 opponent schedule dropped for the majority of the teams.
We'll be talking a lot more of that in the off season when we do preseason predictions.
And if anyone's team hasn't dropped their schedule, if you want to message Footballers Anonymous on any of our socials, I can give you the schedule for the team that hasn't dropped their schedule because they all are confirmed, and I know all of them. I just have to,
This is true. All right, there we go. That was week 17. So now we can get into this week, I was about to say penultimate, but it's not the penultimate week. The final week of the NFL regular season, and a lot of stuff happened.
I can't believe the season's already over. 18 weeks has just gone by.
18
But
weeks, 16 episodes of Footballers Anonymous.
Bye bye bye.
to touch up on something that we just spoke about last week, the Bengals run, going from 4-8 to 8-8, winning their game against the Steelers, going to 9-8, Miami losing to the Jets. Everything was going great. And then the Broncos destroyed the Chiefs secondaries in a game that some believe wasn't entirely fair.
I think we can talk more about this when we talk about the Chiefs, but I'm inclined to agree.
More so right now. I'm just kind of touching upon the Bengals. The
Yeah.
amazing season for a lot of the players. Joe Burrow, passing yard leader. Jamar Chase, Triple Crown winner. Congratulations to him, receiving receptions, receiving touchdowns, and reception yards. Uh, what is his name? Sam Hubbard? No. Yeah,
Trey Hendrickson.
that guy. Trey Hendrickson had the sack title with 17 and a half sacks. So amazing season for a lot of their guys, but just came up short.
Yeah, which is unfortunate for them.
It's
Not
just a
that the Chiefs
crazy
are
thing.
upset.
Like they have this incredible quarterback double receiver tandem on the offensive side of the ball. It's the sack leader on the defensive side of the ball. Yet the defense is so atrocious in most of their games that they lost 8 of them, missed the playoffs. I don't think Zach Taylor's that good of a coach. I think he should be gone, but their owner, just in general, is notoriously a cheap owner. He took him like 16 years to fire what's his face, Marvin Lewis that they had forever that never won a playoff game, if I'm correct about that, in his like 15 years, which is insane. So I don't expect him to be gone, but I think he should be. But the run at the end definitely at least saved his job a little bit, if that's the case.
Also, another person we just mentioned for week 17, Ezekiel Elliott, dropped by the Cowboys. Hilarious. We all laughed about it.
Oh,
The Chargers just picked him up, and he is set to sign on to their practice squad.
I loved going through our Instagram when we sent this, and it just said the Chargers picked up Ezekiel Elliott, and we all just kind of went like, "What?"
Most random signing of 2025.
I
Very,
didn't
very
think they needed him, but I mean, I guess if you have the money, and I don't know.
What do I know? The Cowboys are a joke of a franchise. There's more stuff right here. They benched Cooper Rush with his 500,000 incentive on the line for playing 50% of the snaps. I believe it was actually was it 55% and he played 53. I think it
I
was
think it was
55% and he played
55%.
53.
I think it was 55.
So he didn't get an incentive for that. They started Trey Lance instead. And Jerry Jones continues to be the biggest joke ever. He was asked if he'd ever give up being GM of the Cowboys, and he said, "No, just no. I bought the team."
He
That's
also
crazy.
said that he didn't know about the incentive for Cooper Rush, even though he made the contract because he's GM. So he was like, I didn't know about it until I read into it. Like, you made the contract, buddy. You
Yeah.
should know.
You made the contract.
He's forgetful, guys.
He's
Apparently.
getting up there.
So,
Alzheimer's is hitting him.
Speaking of the, before we move on too far from the Bengals, I just think it should be pointed out that if the results of their week 1 game were flipped, that was the game where the Patriots beat the Bengals 16-10. If you flipped those results, the Patriots would have the number 1 overall pick and the Bengals would be in the playoffs. So that was an easy game that they could have, just an easy transaction there, and they blew it.
Easy
that's
transaction.
what happens when you play against Jacoby Brissett.
And, oh yeah, that was
It
Jacoby.
was
Brissett.
Jacoby.
It was
I was
Jacoby
thinking,
Brissett.
yeah.
Drake wasn't the season
Now,
starter.
speaking of their other quarterback, who had an absolute game against the Bills backups, Joe Milton. I'm not gonna lie, he looked pretty good with his throwing and his
Looking pretty good with his throwing.
well, he made accurate throws. Like he was like 11 for 11 at one point, and he looked pretty good.
Shout out the NFL quarterback who looked pretty good for his throwing. I
I
saw
mean,
I
part
saw a
of
lot
the
of things that said Joe Milton is what Anthony Richardson is supposed to be. And I thought
yeah,
that was
I mean, he
hilarious.
looked
Yeah.
He
genuinely
looked
good.
great.
Granted, it was against like a very base defense, running a lot
Yeah.
of like stuff. Like we weren't gonna reveal a ton of stuff going into the playoffs and everything, but he still played a good game versus in terms of his throwing mechanics and like the accuracy of his throws, especially when he was a quarterback that was like seen as like he has accuracy issues, he didn't seem like he had accuracy issues.
He was
No.
putting some power into them too. I saw some throws. There's a lot of
I
power put
know
into them.
Drake May is great. I was just very confused by the announcers being so certain that he like I know he probably is the guy, but they were like, there's no quarterback controversy. I mean, it's the NFL. You never really know.
No,
I'm
yeah.
not suggesting that Milton's better than May. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying look into him a little bit. Also, them winning that game got Mayo fired.
A lot of people actually got fired this week with it being the final week of the season. Alex, you're the coach guy. You're the coaching staff guy. If you just want to run through the fires real quick, what is your thoughts on those?
Gerard Mayo being fired, I think that was a silly decision. You cannot build a culture in 1 year. Imagine if they fired Dan Campbell after his first year where they went 3-13-1, I
I
believe.
mean, to be fair, I don't know if Gerard Mayo was ever the permanent decision. Like I don't know if that was ever in their plan.
It
I do think it
wasn't.
was silly, but I also
It's one of
assume
those
this was the
things where
plan
it's
from
like,
the
why
start.
give him the job then?
Yeah, you need to give stuff's not gonna happen in 1 year. I'm there's cases where it does happen. Jim Harbaugh has completely turned the Chargers around in his 1 year as head coach, but it's a different situation
But
with the
he's
Patriots.
Jim Harbaugh. He's him.
That's
Like
he's Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers have a good roster. They have a good team, but the Patriots have almost nobody. Their best guys are their youngest guys who have been drafted this year or last year, and they've had really bad culture since Belichick left. It's just not really something that's going to change in one season. Just like Alex said, Dan Campbell had a very poor first season, and he's completely turned around. He's had time. He's had time to build the culture there. He's had time to build the Dan Campbell culture. There was no time to have a Gerard Mayo culture built. So we don't know if it was good or bad, but it was just a questionable decision
I
at the end of
assume
the
the
day.
intention was because they wanted to hire Mike Vrabel in the first place, but I don't know why they couldn't do that last year because he was fired prior to Gerard Mayo being hired. So I think Robert Kraft, just judging by how like ownership kind of works. Like he's went through the Patriots dynasty. He'll probably end up turning into the next Jerry Jones, except a little bit. He's not gonna make himself GM, I don't think, but you get my point. He'll turn into the next Jerry Jones because he's expecting the winning culture and will get impatient and
mhm.
either impatient or delusional that it's already here, yada yada yada. Maybe. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but definitely not a good decision. At least I don't think so. It's not a good look for the franchise. Um, the Titans fired GM Rand Carthon. I think that's some people were complaining about it, but he's also the guy that let Derrick Henry walk and wanted to build the team around Will Levis, which
Shout
whatever
out
you
Will
think about
Levis.
Will Levis, it hasn't worked this season, obviously, which is you can love Will Levis. Like we love our Mayo motivation man, but obviously it hasn't worked this season. So, and then Derrick Henry having an insane year, it looks even worse for him. And the Jags are firing Doug Peterson. I mean,
I'll be completely honest. I thought this happened 2 years ago.
I would have. Well, not I didn't think it would have happened that soon, but I thought it would have happened after their slow start. Like I thought it would have happened after like 0-3. Like,
I just didn't think he was their head coach this year.
yeah,
The only time we really talked about him was on that Mac Jones interception where he just told the press that they wouldn't understand and just avoided the question altogether when they asked him about
Yeah.
that pick six at the end of one of his
I will say
games. Or I don't think it was a
he
pick
is.
six, but
He's funny when he's doing interviews because he's like, I don't know. I couldn't explain it for you.
I don't know.
He was
I'm on the
definitely
sideline, not on the field.
he was definitely done by like week 3.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches and GMs, Aaron Rodgers, he got his 500th touchdown. Will he get any more ever? I don't know,
GM
man.
Rodgers. I could
It
see
is.
him being a really bad GM in the future.
Yeah. I
hmm
Rodgers isn't such a. I could see Rodgers going another darkness retreat in this
He
offseason.
talked about when asked what he would do next, he was like, I don't know, but right now I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna have fun, and like, what is Aaron Rodgers' definition of have fun? Is it sit in the dark? Is it doing all the hallucinogens? What is it?
Maybe
It's not playing
maybe
football, I'll tell you that.
maybe he's like hanging out. Maybe he's doing a darkness retreat with Devontae Adams this time.
Oh,
No, you know what would be
Who
funny
knows,
is if Aaron went to the Raiders and then Devontae was like, "All right, I guess I'm coming back to Vegas."
No, what needs to happen is Rodgers needs to go to Minnesota for at least one season
You know
to
what's
complete
funny
the
is
farm gauntlet.
if they like
mm.
if Rodgers like took a year off and Darnold absolutely was like reverting next year, then you could see that, which would be really funny.
Well, I think the Vikings would give JJ McCarthy the
Like
reins before they went out of their way to sign Rodgers.
maybe it's like
Also, keep in
Darnold.
mind they also just signed
You
Daniel
say that
Jones.
you say that though, assuming that JJ McCarthy won't get traded in the off season, which is a very big possibility.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you draft a rookie quarterback number 9 overall just to throw them out after one season
Overall,
because they
though.
got
Well,
injured and Sam Darnold is playing amazing.
okay,
Overall,
here's what you need to understand. And I was actually going to talk about this later. Actually, I'm still going to talk about it later. We'll come back to this.
Oh, cliffhanger.
now you have to stay tuned to hear about
You
that.
have to stay tuned.
Got you.
It's a very interesting point, and I want to hear you guys' takes on it. But
You know, we could talk about trading because Tyreek Hill wants to be traded. He changes PFP to the Antonio Brown meme with him doing the peace sign as he's leaving the MetLife Stadium versus the Jets when he was a Buck, his last game. And he was like, and this was also at MetLife after this game. They were in New York, and Tyreek was like,
Oh, they're playing the Jets too.
yeah,
yeah, he was like, I'm opening the door. I'm out. I'm done. So potential landing spots for Tyreek will be an interesting case. Some of my first thoughts that kind of come to mind were the Chargers. Um, he's not gonna go. I don't think Kansas City would take him back, even though people are talking about the reunion. I don't think that would happen.
no,
I could see Denver. I could see the Chargers, like I said. Micah Parsons keeps saying, "Come to Dallas." Like, I don't think that'll happen
that
because
would
he
be the
wants to win.
funniest thing ever, though.
Par-
He
That
wants
would
to
be
Parsons,
win
so
football
funny.
games.
Parsons doesn't even know that he's leaving it.
Parsons doesn't. Parsons thinks that everyone wants to play for Dallas. That's like a crazy claim. Like when he was talking about Jameer Gibbs, now it's like Tyreek. Like no one's coming to Dallas, buddy.
I've also seen the Raiders being a potential spot, and I did see one thing saying the Cardinals were a potential spot. Carson
Do not
said
want him. No.
no. Carson said no.
One,
I think out of
we
all
need
his
Marvin
potential
Harrison.
spots,
Marvin Harrison's our guy. He's
well,
yeah.
Tyreek would be that vet presence that Cardinals currently lack on their roster at receiver.
I don't want Marvin Harrison to be
Um,
using Tyreek as an example for anything.
I think out of all of his landing spots that we just discussed, I think the best one for everyone involved, and if Tyreek wants to continue to have a career afterwards, would be the Chargers.
I agree. I think that's
I
probably the
think
best spot.
I think a Herbert Hill connection would be crazy.
Hey,
We've
I'll
kind
say
of
this: if Tyreek goes to one of those two AFC West teams, particularly the Chargers, they might actually overtake Kansas City. But
That would be what they need.
I believe that Justin Herbert is probably the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. And if not the most accurate, he throws the most beautiful passes.
that's
I love Justin Herbert. He's an amazing quarterback. Speaking
he's
of the Chargers.
yeah. I'm under the belief that Justin Herbert is a top five quarterback, and that he is five. But I'm under the belief he's a great quarterback, and he will be playing the Texans in the wild card round next week. Who, where that game will be covered by SpongeBob. Honestly, it's
We're
exactly
all
what the
watching
Texans
that.
deserve.
We are
We
all
are.
It's
watching that.
exactly what the Texans deserve for that.
I don't have them on me right now, but I do have a pair of SpongeBob football gloves.
That's so awesome.
Honestly, the Texans might need you to suit up with their wide receiver injuries.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
All
I'll
I'll
do
say
it.
though,
I'll do it.
don't win.
Yeah, don't
The
win.
Texans don't deserve the win.
Listen, I'll just do good enough to get a contract with someone else. How about that?
Exactly.
There you
12
go. There you go.
receptions, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And then next year you get signed by the Chicago Bears.
Exactly. See, you get it. You get it.
Yes.
Brock Bowers. Just talking about how last week he broke a rookie tight end reception yards record. This week he broke the rookie reception record. Just overall, he has the most receptions by a rookie in NFL history. Last year was broken by Puka Nacua, Oh no, last year was reception yards.
Yeah, last year was yards.
But this year, Brock Bowers came in first. Malik Neighbors actually is now number 2 for most rookie receptions. So, shout out Malik Neighbors.
Speaking of Brock Bowers, he made the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl voting completed, and we got to see who made it. We're not going to get too into detail with it, just because there's a lot of stuff with that. But we'll probably make another episode when the Pro Bowl actually happens, where we'll talk a lot more about it.
Yeah.
But shout out Brock Bowers for making it. Shout out Patrick Mahomes for not making it.
Can I also just one more thing before we like move on past the Pro Bowl? Shout out Brian Thomas for being one of the biggest snubs this year. Like,
Yeah,
what
why
is
is
that?
Jerry Jeudy in the Pro Bowl?
Why is Zay Flowers in the Pro Bowl?
Zay Flowers, I can
Hey,
understand.
he had a
He's
career
had some
game
very
this
good
season.
games.
He
had a
did have
career
a good game.
season.
Here's the thing, though. I saw a video that was comparing Brian Thomas's and Zay Flowers' stats. Brian Thomas exceeds him in every single stat line
Yes.
on a worse team
Yep.
with Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence throwing him the ball.
Yes.
Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers, both of them should not be in over Brian Thomas.
No.
The only two
But-
receivers in the AFC that are maybe more deserving are the two that are. No, the one. Wait, hang on. How many receivers make it for? Is it 4?
It's four.
I know Chase made it, which yes, he should be number 1. Who was the other one? It was Flowers, Judy, and
I can
not
look
an
at it real quick.
oh Nico
I'm
Collins.
looking at it
Not
right
Nico
now.
Collins. Nico
I don't
Collins.
think it was
that's
Nico
right.
Collins. Was it?
No?
I don't think it was.
It was.
I guess I'm looking at the Patriots website for it because it's the first one that came up for some reason.
I got it. Here we go.
It was
Oh,
Nico
yeah.
Collins.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
And to be
then.
fair, Nico Collins' stats were nerfed a little bit because he got injured. I think he's deserving, but
He's more deserving than Jerry Jeudy or Zay Flowers.
yeah. And Brian Thomas should be like that. That's absurd.
Oh no, he absolutely should. That's insane.
That's my little rant.
And something else that dropped this week, the UFL schedule just dropped. Very
Oh, it
excited
did?
to start covering that. It did, yeah. The UFL
January
schedule
2nd.
dropped this week. I'm very excited to get more into this. We'll
Starts in
definitely
March of
be covering it.
2025. Make sure to stay tuned because we will be covering that, and you'll have to wait until the first USFL episode to see which teams we will be representing. Speaking of, real quick, the expansion. So is that happening next year?
I don't know. They do still plan on expanding, but that will not be happening this year. I mean, obviously it's not happening this year because
Which I think
Already
we all thought it
existed.
would.
we all kind of
think
thought it
that's
would,
what
but
happened here.
we just never heard anything. And
Yeah.
I had to look it up when they dropped the schedules because I was like, where are these other teams?
It does make sense though, because they have to go through a whole process to create whole new teams from
Right.
zoning and like areas and cities have to make a case as to why they should have a team.
Mhm.
So it makes sense. It's a whole process, and if they're doing what I kind of assumed, and I assume they're bringing like a whole nother 8. They're doing somewhere between 4 and 8 whole
Yeah.
new teams. So it is a process to go through.
And
And
I mean,
especially when you think like they're only adding, like you think one hand it's like, oh, they're adding 4 to 8. On the other hand, they're only adding 4 to 8. So out of all
Mm-hmm.
the applications they're going to get, they can only accept a select few. So they have to do what's best for them as a league.
you also have to think like, in order for them to really like prosper here, they do need to build a lot more hype around the league as a whole. So I think that's going to be a very big object. I've already seen team accounts and stuff. They're much more active. They're much more active right now, really trying to hype things up, which I love. I think you'll start hearing a lot more people talk about it, which will then bring more teams to the league.
I don't know if we've been saying USFL or not this whole time. It's the UFL. I can't remember. I feel like
I said UFL, you said USFL, and then I
Okay,
had to
yeah.
like check, and I was like, "Is it USFL?" I thought it was
I
UFL.
feel like I read USFL, but I could just be wrong. It's the UFL. Sorry
Bro,
about my
football
ownership and
knowledge.
credibility. Ownership and credibility.
You want to
blah,
talk
blah,
about
yeah.
ownership and credibility? We can talk about Joy Taylor. It was revealed in a lawsuit against Skip Bayless. Shout out Skip Bayless. That Joy Taylor slept with multiple TV execs to get onto TV networks.
Not
Why are we
surprised.
only learning about this now? We could have been saved from like an entire year of her awful takes.
Not surprised, just given her takes.
Yeah, no. There's some people just like you sit there and you just realize like they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
No.
Most sports analysts don't know,
No,
unless
the
they're
vast
like on the
majority.
actual,
Shout out Pete
unless
Prisco.
they're on the actual broadcasts or old former players. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And it's clear too because there's two distinct types of broadcasters and announcers. Well, three. I'll say there's three. There's the ones that actually know what they're talking about. The
Right.
old players, the old coaches, people who actually care. There's the people who don't know what they're talking about, so they just go as basic as possible to make it seem like they know what they're talking about. Going like the Chiefs are great, the Lions are great. Oh, this team sucks, blah blah blah. They just go as basic as possible and they follow the crowd. Then there's the ones who say the most outlandish things for views and clicks. There's no way they actually think that it's true. Or maybe the worst part is maybe they do actually think it's true.
Pete
Like when
Prisco.
Dan Orlovsky, Pete Prisco was one. Like when Dan Orlovsky was saying that Caleb Williams has shown no progression or hasn't grown in any way throughout the season. Like there's just no way you actually think any of these things. Pete Prisco's a great example. There's no way you actually sit there and live your life thinking like that. What do we know, right, guys? What do we know? They're the analysts, not us.
You should listen to Footballers Anonymous, not any of them. We
We're
know what
getting
we're
an
talking
ESPN
about,
channel
and
soon.
the biggest thing we do is we admit when we are wrong, unlike them.
Shout out Peter Prisco for being one of the worst.
The worst.
The
He's one of
worst.
one. He's one of one.
You know, we could talk about one of one because there can only be one of one national champion, and Carson's going to give us a little deep dive into the remaining college scene.
Yeah, okay, so we have a...
Wait. Welcome back to Carson's College Knowledge.
That was good, that was good.
Thank you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Carson's College Knowledge. So we had a pretty... I know I say this a lot, but we genuinely had a pretty crazy 2 weeks in college football. So I'm going to just kind of give you like the gist of what happened. To start off, we have, first off, I got to shout out the man himself, Kyle McCord, just casually putting up 4,779 yards on the season over 13 games, averaging 368 yards a game. Because why not? He broke every record, just all the records. He just broke
Did
them.
he really? Did he actually do that?
He did actually do that.
Actually?
Are you serious?
Actually,
Are you serious?
Colin Schlee.
Actually?
That's right, ladies
You
and gentlemen.
You scatabo kidding me.
Okay, now we're just
About
stretching.
that.
So we can talk about Scattaboo. So Cam Scattaboo during the ASU game just casually dropped that he is the greatest running back in the country. And I mean, like, okay, you can argue whether that's true or not, but I just don't like the way he talks. I have an issue with the culture he brings. If you watched the ASU playoff game, he was yelling at coaches, just slamming his helmet. I mean, like, granted, they were down for a lot of that game, so I can understand the frustration, but I was not at all impressed with the way he carried himself. People say that Arizona should draft him. That's dumb. We don't need him, and I don't really want the culture either. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about Scattaboo.
If you get Scattaboo and Tyreek, then you'll have like the ultimate culture.
Go get Stephon Diggs as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Maybe you should fire Gannon as well.
No!
And Petzing. And you want to fire Petzing. Go hire Peterson.
I do kind of want to fire Petzing, but...
Go hire Peterson and Waldron.
Nope. I'll keep Petzing.
Peak culture. Peak culture.
Then make Aaron Rodgers your GM.
Then make Jerry Jones your owner.
Anyways.
And then just get rid of all the players.
They kill their opponents.
Okay, anyways. Still in Arizona. So in case you guys didn't know, I put out playoff predictions every week. I'll put out some more this week. I only went 2-2 in my game predictions this week. Not great. Thank you, Oregon. But probably should have gone 1-3 this week because the NCAA had a little oopsies on a field goal within regulation that ASU kicked. I believe it was in the third or fourth quarter. A field goal that totally missed its mark, but bounced through the uprights. And according to NCAA rules, if it bounces through the upright, it is still good. But the refs called it no good. Game went into overtime. Even though Texas's kicker lost 2 kicks in a row, they iced their own kicker. It was very funny. But yeah, so ASU got absolutely robbed, but Texas won and saved me. So, sorry, but not really.
Do you think they went to Longhorn Steakhouse after winning? Yeah, you get it, Ian. Yeah. See. He gets it too. Yeah, they both get it. I hope the listeners get it too. I think they got it. I think they got the joke.
I hope they get the joke, or that's a little concerning.
Why are you Ashton me?
For those who don't understand math, it's like wordplay.
Minnesota.
I saw Minnesota play this week in the Mayo Bowl, and let me tell you, they looked very good against our second strings. Yeah, it was
Not
very
to be
fun.
confused with Minnesota Vikings, who didn't look very good. We'll talk about them later.
Correct. Shout out Colin Schley. He had a pretty good game. Shout out Pop Watson. You had an awful game. And shout out our own line. You looked like the Bears.
Shout out Khalil Herbert, VT alumni.
I love Khalil Herbert, bro. Now, we can talk about a bowl game that was pretty legendary. The Pop-Tart Bowl. Okay? It is my life's goal to go to a Pop-Tart Bowl because that was just like the coolest thing I have ever seen. Ever. Shout out Scam Ward for opting in to only the first half of the game so that he could break the ACC touchdown record for himself and then sit on the sideline and watch his team struggle and eventually lose while he just sat there.
That's
love
insane.
you, Cam Ward.
You should bring him in and be a part of that
Miami
culture.
alumni.
He's actually the worst. And the Browns are going to draft him, and they're gonna not have a good time.
You know what's gonna happen?
Wow.
Draft prediction: the Browns are gonna trade the #1 overall pick to the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, the
And
Titans
with the
have
number one
number
overall
pick.
My fault. The Titans are gonna trade the #1 overall pick to the Arizona Cardinals, and for what I don't really know, but they'll do something. And the Cardinals are going to draft Travis Hunter. And
I
then
would be more okay with that than
they're-
Cam Ward.
And then they're gonna trade Kyler Murray to Las Vegas
don't
for
like
their
this.
pick, and then with that pick, they're gonna take Shadur Sanders.
No.
Yep. And then they're gonna.
We're
trade
not
again.
firing Gannon, and we are not
And
taking
then-
Sanders as our head coach.
They're gonna draft Cam Ward as well. They're gonna have the top 3 picks.
We drafted
Well,
2
it's-
quarterbacks.
You're gonna draft Cam Ward and
Because
Shadur
Shadur-
Sanders and
No,
Travis Hunter.
Shadur Sanders is going to be the head coach.
No, you guys are gonna sign Deion Sanders.
Yeah, we're not draft. Anyways,
No,
moving.
Deion Sanders is too good.
Anyways,
He'd
No, they're
sound
going
like
to sign
that
Teddy
close to
Bridgewater as their head coach.
that would be too good.
That would be pretty gas, actually.
Quinn Ewers was offered $6 million by some unknown team to enter the transfer portal because the transfer
Arizona
portal
Cardinals.
system is because the transfer portal is a messed up system and we love it. Shout out to Alabama for losing twice to Michigan in 2024. I do not believe any flags were placed this time. Kind of disappointing. And then I'll just mention it really quickly that we did the Sugar Bowl was postponed a day because of the terrorist attacks that happened in New Orleans, which were terrible. I think the NCAA handled it very well. I think still having the game, first of all, was good for the city. I'm glad that they postponed and they made sure that everyone was safe. Condolences to everyone who was affected. It was terrible stuff that happened there. Speaking of the Sugar Bowl, we can start there. The Sugar Bowl saw Notre Dame take advantage of Gunnar Stockton's inexperience and prove me wrong, beating them down 23-10. Notre Dame will face Penn State in the Orange Bowl. Penn State stomped Boise State, and Ashland G&T did not break the college rushing record, unfortunately. They beat them 31-14 in Arizona while I was there. While I was flying to Charlotte, there were a lot of sad Boise State fans on my plane, and it was really funny. Penn State will move on to the Orange Bowl. Texas narrowly beat ASU in like the greatest game this week at the Peach Bowl, 39-31. Did they deserve it? But Texas will move on to the Cotton Bowl. And in your game of the week, that was supposed to be the greatest game in all of college football this whole year. You'll see parallels to this in the NFL this week. The Rose Bowl saw Ohio State absolutely destroy Oregon, 41-21. I was wrong. And Ohio State will face Texas in the Cotton Bowl. It is important to note, every single team that was given a first round bye was eliminated this week, just to show you the strength of the playoff schedule. There you go. There's your college knowledge. Sorry, there were 2 weeks of content to cover there. We had a lot of stuff.
Well, I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes you just kind of gotta.
You really dropped the ball there, Ian.
I mean, what can I say? I'm George Pickens.
George Pickens on the pod? Yo!
Punch.
We need to get Mitch Trubisky on the pod.
Shout out Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. So, essentially, the Steelers really needed this game for a lot of reasons. But George Pickens went into this game with 900 yards. He was hoping to get 1,000 for the first time in his career. But instead of doing all of that, you know what he did, guys?
What do you do, Ian?
He tried to fight some fans.
Not Bengals fans.
No, Steelers fans. He had 6 targets. He only caught 1 of them, which was, I believe that one he was, a negative 1 yard gain.
It was a negative 1 yard gain.
CBS has it listed as 0. It was -1, but he had like 3 drops. And he tried to fight some fans. Kind of funny, if you really think about it.
Good job.
You
earned yourself a stat line of the week.
Yeah, I just watch this video to see how they catch. Grab my computer. Any comments on that, guys?
No, but we might have some comments on other things.
I wonder if we do. Oh, yes, we do. Don't worry, guys. I just didn't take a picture, but it's okay. So Carson was not very happy after the loss to the Rams. So he made a video about it, a little short. Check out our social medias to see when we do that kind of stuff. Someone in the comments said he needs to switch up who you're rooting for. That's not the comment of the week. The comment of the week is actually Carson's response. I don't usually pick one of our comments, but I think it's pretty good.
I feel like I've been featured several times.
Yeah, you've picked this comment a few times.
Continue.
Twice.
Go ahead.
He said, "Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall free me."
Real ones understand that. That's the Sith code, guys. I was channeling my inner dark side after this game.
The problem with that is the Cardinals are kind of forgetting the victory part.
Not this week. This week.
Yeah, wow. Both of you did some historic stuff this week. The Cardinals swept the Niners, and the Bears actually beat the Packers.
Imagine not being undefeated in 2025.
I know, right? Crazy work.
Honestly, I don't think it counts, but
it does count.
It
What
counts.
do you mean it doesn't count? We're undefeated in 2025.
No, you do realize that. No, I'm more talking about the Bills, but the Bills actually won. They stopped the Patriots from having the #1 overall pick.
That doesn't matter for them though. They don't need a quarterback. They're gonna draft Travis Hunter.
It's gonna be hilarious if the Bills lose to the Broncos, and it's like if we say the same thing. Imagine not being undefeated in 2025, and he goes, "Well, it doesn't matter if you think about it. It doesn't count."
It doesn't count.
It's not real.
Chad, is this real?
No, we'll lose. Yeah, and then Josh Allen will be on the losing side in the Pro Bowl, and I'll be like, it doesn't count. It's
Count,
not.
guys.
It's not real.
It's not real.
And we'll lose the first week next season, and I'll be like, it doesn't
Doesn't
count.
count. You won't lose a single game in 20. You won't win a single game in 2025.
I'll be
You'll
like,
you'll
2025 doesn't count.
you'll be 0-16, but then you'll win the last game in 2026 and be like, imagine not being undefeated in 2026.
And then both of y'all will lose and be like, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't
No
count.
losses count, guys. They don't count. They aren't real.
Or-
You
Losses
know who
are
else?
true.
You know who else doesn't count? Will Levis.
Yes, he does.
Doesn't make any sense, bud. Doesn't make any sense. Why are
Just
you
like
slandering
Will Levis.
Why are you slandering Will Levis right now?
I'm pretty sure we all slandered Will Levis like 10 minutes ago.
Actually, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, then maybe you should enlighten me.
Well, because this is the meme of the week, and you're wrong.
Okay, what's the
Well,
meme of the
that's meme
week?
Two players, Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard, had cash incentives. After Calvin Ridley achieved his, Will Levis is just money,
Just-
money, 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 money. And then on the very next play, the Titans fumbled. Quite
Will
funny.
Levis goes out and celebrates at the money.
Quite funny. There you guys go. That's your WLMOTW.
Wow, I'm impressed you just did that.
Thank you. Thank you. Next year, we should pick a different meme guy.
We'll
Jeez.
probably have to because Will Levis probably won't be a starter.
Well, I mean, it's not like his team's eliminated or anything.
Eliminated? You know there were a couple teams eliminated this week. 3 actually. Huh. How interesting. We should probably take a minute to remember them, you know. So we got 3 eliminated team obituaries, the last ones to fall in the regular season. So I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and honor those guys now. The Atlanta Falcons. Never the same since 28-3, week 18. The Miami Dolphins. Almost as many wins as Tyreek has kids, week 18. The Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow got robbed. Oh, and he got eliminated from playoffs, week 18. Thank you.
Would like to know. We also have to do week 17.
Oh my gosh. You're so right.
All right,
Let's
guys, 5-minute intermission.
No, you're good. I did them last week. There weren't many. There were only 2 teams eliminated last week. So let's go through those now. The Indianapolis Colts. They bled blue. This is our Colts. This is our team.
Our team.
We bleed
bleed
blue.
This is
Indianapolis
our
Colts.
Whether win or lose.
Okay,
we
Ian.
love
We're moving on.
them.
We're moving on.
We're having
Show.
an obituary.
We're having an obituary, Ian.
It's not a concert. It's not a concert. My fault.
Leave a like if you want Footballers Anonymous concert. Seattle Seahawks. Okay.
Serious, it's no obituary.
Comment,
Serious.
comment Footballers Anonymous concert if you're here.
Seattle Seahawks. DK did not have it his way. Week 17.
Not funny.
Dumb.
Didn't laugh.
Thank you for the respect that you've shown. Shout out the mascots too. Although we don't even want the mascots on the pod anymore. We want Mitch Trubisky. You know what you got to do. Like the video. Leave a
And-
comment.
We want John Cena as well. Get John Cena to come on the pod.
What are you talking about? He's right here.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
You not see him?
All right, guys.
All right, anyways, you guys know what to do. Just keep showing the love and support. You guys are amazing. Before we move on to our power rankings, we do have one more segment. We asked you to ask us questions and we answered them. So we didn't put out any posts this week for questions because we had a decent turnout for questions last week. Thank you very much. The first one is from this guy named Andrew, who I've never met before. He's my dad. And he actually asked this in week 16, but we didn't get this question until after we'd finished recording. So I told him we would answer it week 17, and then we didn't have an episode week 17, so now we're answering it in week 18. So his question is, after your team gets eliminated, what do you do to keep things exciting when watching the rest of the season play out? This is actually a
So
very good question.
I do this thing, right? It's called the Try Not to Cry challenge. Um, it's where I sit down and I watch the Bears play football, and I try not to cry.
A little poll from 2018.
Okay.
Um, well, 2018 I didn't really care because we had a rookie quarterback. Before then, when we were on our giant playoff miss streak, I also was like another season because it was like 17 straight years. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I can answer this question. Usually I've found that if you're eliminated from the playoffs, it's usually because some team that you dislike is not eliminated from the playoffs. In which case, you get to watch everyone else's seasons die unless they win the Super Bowl, in which case that really sucks. Um, so usually, like for me, I'll take last year as an example. The 49ers got the 1 seed. So I pretty much just became the biggest fan of whatever team was playing the 49ers every week. Um, you know,
Even
and yeah, even the Packers. That and the Chiefs. Bro, it was not a good run for me, I'm not going to lie. I had to do a lot of things. The year before was even worse when I had to root for the Cowboys. But anyways, yeah, so usually it's a mixture. I don't want to just call it hate watching, even though it's kind of hate watching. And then usually, you have a couple teams where it's like, I'm not a fan of this team, but like I like you enough, or you've got a good player I like. So I'm gonna root for you. It's just cool to like see good football happen. And as the weeks go on, especially now we're in the playoffs, there's a lot more of that.
I'll also say, like, when the Bills inevitably get eliminated in the divisional round, I usually choose a team that I want to win the Super Bowl. Um, the other thing I was gonna kind of piggyback off this. 8 days ago from the time of recording, probably 9 when the podcast drops, Buffalo Bills fans, mostly myself, celebrated the 7-year anniversary on New Year's Eve of us clinching the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. I watched Tyler Boyd make that catch from Andy Dalton and beat the Ravens to secure us the playoff spot that year. That was awesome, considering we hadn't made the playoffs in 17 years. Even though we lost in the first round, I went to the Jaguars. I did not really care. That was just a great moment. Sean McDermott's first year. I just wanted to highlight that because it was like we kind of like go over that and sell in my on my dad's side. I think that was at my dad's house. We kind of go through like we talk about that every year on New Year's Eve because it was on New Year's Eve. We didn't stay up for the ball drop or anything. That was our ball drop, but yeah.
And I will say, piggybacking off that too, it's just fun seeing some teams you don't like lose, and also it's fun seeing some teams you like win. And also at the end of the day, it's if you really care enough about the team, like me for example, the Bears have been murdering me all year long. There have been times where I've said I don't even want to watch this game, but I do it anyway because you like I so much of my life's been put into this team. It's hard for me to not watch them, even when I know they're going to disappoint me. So it's really not even just a matter of keeping things interesting. Once I know they're eliminated, it's just a matter of, you know, they're the Bears. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Duh,
Not really wording this too well, but it's just kind of like how it is.
duh, Bears.
Yeah. Our second question is from, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this, Marana Els. And she asks, how does the game work? We've gotten this question before. It might have actually been from you.
It
I don't
was.
It
remember.
was.
Was?
Sure it
Okay.
was.
So same thing as we said last time. We have plans this off season to do some type of series thing. I know you said you wanted like as much of an explanation as possible. That's going to be really hard for us, but we're going to make it happen. And you know what we could
It won't
do?
be super hard. We just can't fit it into a
Yeah,
current podcast formatted episode.
correct.
That's a special episode that we have planned. We have it set aside for the future. So just stay tuned for it. Honestly, yeah.
We could do it before the Super Bowl, maybe.
Well, we'll
Maybe.
probably talk about the
We'll,
Pro Bowl for there.
That's true.
that's true. We'll figure something out.
We'll
Stay
figure
tuned.
something out. We've got a lot of off season to kill, and we'll probably be searching for ideas. So
And stay tuned for the rest of our off-season ideas as well. All of our other special episodes that we have planned.
we've got a lot of them. We've got a lot of them. And our last question is from Charlie. Charlie actually asked like 3 questions, but it was about week 7, or it was about our predictions coming into week 18, which isn't really important now. But one of the questions he asked was, who is the biggest threat to the Chiefs?
Are we
Charlie.
talking AFC or playoffs in general?
I think we're just talking about playoffs in general. I will say, I think before this week, the biggest threat to the Chiefs were the Cincinnati Bengals. They just always
I
have been.
I think people overstate that because I think the Chiefs' offense would do too much against that defense.
I don't know. They
I'm
can never
gonna
seem to score
say
points, even against bad teams.
if the first round goes the way I'm projecting it to go, then in the second round, I believe the biggest threat to the Chiefs will be the Los Angeles Chargers. And I say that
Mm.
because they always play good games against each other. It's, you're always gonna have a tougher time against a team that not only do you see them twice a year, but you have that divisional rivalry set against them in the first place. You're always gonna want to play harder against that team. You're always gonna go out and always gonna want to murder that team. So I think if the first round does go the way I think it will, with and then that was the result in the Chiefs or the Chargers going into Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs, I think the Chargers would be their biggest threat in that situation.
Alex?
I actually kind of agree with that. I will say this: Buffalo is more likely to beat them than Baltimore. I say that because I think Lamar is less of a playoff performer than they both have the same situation where they always lose to Kansas City. I'm
I was
aware.
going to say,
They
yeah.
both have that same situation, but I also know, like, the difference between their matchups is that Allen still performs his playoffs games. Lamar versus the Chiefs last year was absolutely abysmal. That was an awful game. Like, I'm
I
not saying
will
Lamar,
say,
but
I think I still agree with you on that sentiment, but you saying it's the same thing, it's not the same thing. The Lamar always losing to the Chiefs thing started last year, whereas the Bills, that's a historical, it's just repeated over and over again
I
with
mean,
Josh
I
Allen.
mean, well, okay. I'll say this too. Allen's lost more time to them in the playoffs, but overall record, Lamar's is substantially worse. I'm pretty sure Lamar's only beaten them one time.
They also don't
And
play nearly as
I'm pretty
much.
sure Lamar's 1-4 versus the Chiefs, and Allen's like 4-5. I'll double check this just to make sure I'm not.
Yeah, I'm looking up Lamar.
All right, I'll do Allen. Well, actually, I can remember. Allen is
Lamar Jackson is, yeah, he's 1-4 against the Chiefs. And so Josh Allen
pretty
would
sure
be
Allen's
better.
4-5. I would think it was like
Josh Allen is
Josh Allen's 4-1 in the playoffs. Oh, he's 4-4. 4-1 in the regular season, 0-3 in the playoffs. He's 4-4 against them.
it's not bad. Anyways, point being, I think I still agree with that, but just to be clear, it's not the same thing with Lamar and Allen. It's
No,
not the same
you
thing.
know what I mean. I mean, I think Lamar definitely has more of the choking in the playoffs, general choking in the playoffs thing. Allen just has the choking versus the Chiefs thing when he's not choking versus the Chiefs. But like Lamar lost that game to the Titans in 2019, and then Lamar's also gotten beat by the Bills, and then last year got beat by the Chiefs. His playoff record is like 2-5. Like, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get to everyone's favorite part of our podcast. We have the Footballers Anonymous Power Rankings, which we'll be going through a little bit faster because of time, but also a little bit differently. So, for those of you who don't know, which I hope you do because it's the end of the season, but every week we go through all 32 NFL teams individually and rank them from worst to best. And then from there, we take all of them and use math and average them together to get a group power rankings. Sometimes we have ties, and if we have ties, we will discuss them, whether that be on the pod or off the pod, and just kind of vote to see which one wins. Now, obviously, you guys didn't get an episode from us last week, so I will give you those power rankings before we actually start, and then we will go over our 3 worst teams, which are the baddies. And then normally we would go through our top 12 teams, but instead of that, we will just go through all 14 of the playoff teams and we will rank them. Now, it's not just 1 through 14 because a couple of these playoff teams go below 14, which is really interesting, and we'll talk about that. But first, here are your Week 17 power rankings. At 32, at Ultra Batty, we have the Titans. At 31, we have the Patriots. At 30, your last baddie is the Giants. At 29, the Jets. 28, the Bears. 27, the Raiders. 26, the Browns. 25, the Saints. 24, the Jags. 23, the Colts. 22, the Cowboys. 21, the Panthers. 20, the 49ers. 19, the Cardinals. 18, the Dolphins. 17, the Texans. 16, the Falcons. 15, the Seahawks. 14, the Broncos. 13, the Bucks. 12, the Steelers. 11, the Bengals. 10, the Rams. 9, the Chargers. 8, the Commanders. 7, the Packers. 6, the Chiefs. 5, the Ravens. 4, the Eagles. 3, the Lions. 2, the Vikings. And 1, the Bills. So those are your technically Week 18 rankings because they were the rankings coming into Week 18. So now we can get into your regular season finale rankings, starting off with our baddies. And at number 1, or number 30 for our first baddie spot, we have the New York Giants.
You know what? Because the Patriots won, they didn't fall all the way to 4, only to 3. I just want to say, I think they're lucky that they didn't send Saquon out to break that rushing record against them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that would have been a massacre. The Giants doesn't really have anything going for them, to be honest.
No.
That what pick do they have now? They have the 5th?
Third.
The
They're
3rd.
third, yeah.
I will say also, they're not firing Brian Dable. That's been confirmed. Some Giants fans are unhappy about it. Some are fine with it, I guess. I mean, Dable didn't have a lot of talent to work with this year. I don't think it's a terrible call considering he won Coach of the Year a couple of years ago, but if it goes awry again, maybe they should fire him,
I think the only thing the Giants really have in their favor right now is Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Other than that, they have that rookie running back who's had an okay
Tyrone
season.
Tracy.
Tyrone Tracy. He's had a pretty decent season. So the rookies kind of look good. Other than that,
Their defense, funny enough, actually has some talent as well. Obviously not the best, not a great defense.
oh,
but
they still have Dexter Lawrence, don't they?
they have talent on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And their schedule for next year is just hard.
Brutal.
I think they have the second hard. They're tied for the second hardest schedule next year.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't surprise me. They played the NFC North and the AFC West in their division.
Yeah. They're going to be kind of cooked. And then coming in at 31 and 32, we have a tie for Ultra Baddie this week between the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. First off, I'm just going to say give me the Titans here. Yeah, give me the Titans. They have secured the number 1 overall pick. The Browns have the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah,
Both of them will be drafting quarterbacks, I'm positive. But
I don't know. I think the Titans are going to stick with Will Levis.
oh, you're right.
And in all actuality, I think there's actually a decent chance they stick with Will Levis. I think the chance is a lot more decent than people are actually making it out to be.
Well, okay, so again, that's gonna come to my cliffhanger from later, which I will still be holding for a little bit longer, but we'll talk about that too.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so are we taking Titans as Ultra Baddies?
Yes.
And as far as the Browns go, yeah, not as much else to say there either.
For
Deshaun
next week,
Watson isn't healthy.
now that-
Myles Garrett is still great. Denzel Ward is still great. I don't really know.
for next week, we'll get the final baddie power rankings presented by me. I will calculate all the ultra baddie winners and the baddie winners and see who finished at how the baddies stand up.
It'll be
Stack up.
legendary. All right. So before we talk about our playoff teams, Ian and I usually take a moment or it's usually more than a moment, especially for me, to talk about our teams. So Ian, do you want to go first? The Bears are at 24.
Yeah, so the Bears came in at 24. Not really much to say this week. Obviously, we, had a very good game against the Packers. We beat their backups. Jordan Love started the game. Okay, Christian Watson started the game. They would have stayed in the game if they not gotten injured. So I don't want to hear that. Our head coaching vacancy has started to be looked at. We have some potential candidates as of now are Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury, Brian Flores, a few others. For me, it's Ben Johnson 1, Vrabel 2. Other than that, I'm not really sold on anyone else.
If you guys get Kingsbury, I will
We
laugh
we
so
we need
hard.
we need an offensive-minded coach going into the season. I don't know what we're gonna do about OC, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if we'll put Thomas Brown back there or if we'll just go with someone else. I'm not sure. But we've started, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to really report about the Bears. Caleb Williams finished first in total yards by a Bears quarterback. I believe it was first. In terms of just passing yards, he placed fourth, I believe.
Will
And
the Bears ever get a 4,000-yard passer?
yes, and his name will be Caleb Williams.
It's true.
But yeah, not really much just to report.
Okay.
Is Chicago the only team, or is it also the Jets that don't have a 4,000-yard passer?
No, Chicago's the only team.
Yeah.
Who did the Jets have?
Joe Namath.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy that he got it that long ago. He's probably the only one now, I assume.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Coming in at 17, we have the Arizona Cardinals. First off, Trey McBride, the Cardinal. He finally got his receiving touchdown against the Rams. And then another touchdown off his head that was picked off. I had recurring nightmares about that. Then he got another touchdown against the 49ers. Pretty good closeout to the season for him. He did finish with 1,000 yards on the season, as he should. He won the Angry Run Scepter for his amazing hurdle. And he ended 5 receptions away from DeAndre Hopkins' franchise single season reception record, and he beat Larry Fitzgerald, who was previously in second. So, Trey McBride is going to be in all-time great conversations. There's a very strong case to say that he is the best tight end in the NFL right now, whether you agree or disagree. I obviously agree, but yeah. So Trey McBride made the Pro Bowl. Good job to him. In other news, we ended the season as the 3rd most injured team in the NFL. The 49ers were the 2nd most injured team in the NFL. So that was a really fun game. Josh Dobbs made his return to State Farm Stadium, which was pretty cool. There were lots of, good vibes. Players were very, very kind to him. Seemed to have fond memories, which is good because I think Josh Dobbs did a lot for this team, even though his record wasn't great. There's still a lot there. Juwan Jennings, I'm not going to get into it too much, got into fights with 2 Cardinals defenders in a row, 2 plays, two different defenders. Sean Murphy-Bunting got ejected because of it. He shouldn't have, but he did. And Juwan Jennings got ejected, obviously, and that pretty much sealed their deal. Drew Petzing, our offensive coordinator, meeting with the Bears. Probably not going to amount to anything, but they're just doing their due diligence. I think we'll fire him. I hope we fire him. I really hope we fire him. I'm kind of done with him. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up is Kyler Murray, which actually brings me to the cliffhanger. So this isn't really just going to be a conversation about Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray's future. First off, my stance on it is no, he should not be traded at all. Not at all. We need to give him 1 more year. He's got 1 more in his contract anyways. Build the team around him. If it doesn't work out, okay, fine. But we have a very interesting situation this year in the NFL where we have more teams looking for quarterbacks than we've had in a long time, and one of the worst quarterback classes that we have had in years in the draft. We're talking our best 2. You've got 2 in Ward and Sanders that will probably go top 3, top 4, and other than that, you got Carson Beck. He'll probably go 2nd or 3rd round, which means veteran quarterbacks in the NFL are going to be much more valuable this year than they have been in a long time. Kyler Murray That's the main case most people are having for trading Kyler Murray, because the Cardinals could get a lot for him, and this is why people are suggesting that you're probably going to see a lot more Sam Darnold stories next year, whether they end up being good like Darnold was or bad. A lot of people suggest people like even Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs was playing out of his mind to hopefully get a starting role next year. Got people like Zach Wilson who could come back. He's looked good in the time he's played for the Broncos. A lot of forgotten quarterbacks are probably going to be getting starting roles. And yeah, so I guess I just wanted to get your guys' take on the quarterback situation for next year.
Trubisky to the Bears, Super Bowl for the next 5 years, and then Trubisky will destroy the Packers, stadium, and they'll quit being an NFL team, and then he'll go to the Cardinals, and they'll win 5 Super Bowls, and he'll go back to the Bills, and they'll win the 5 Super Bowls, and they're also going to win one this year because Josh Allen's going to get injured in the first round, and Trubisky's going to take over, and he's going to win.
Good
Okay.
take. Good take. Okay.
But no, I agree for the most part that seeing the way Sam Darnold has been doing and seeing how Baker Mayfield has done the past few years, it's definitely going to be sparking teams in their decisions to give those backup guys a chance. Yeah, I think it'll cause a lot of good, I think it'll stir the pot of the NFL quarterback pretty well. And like you said, the draft class is pretty weak, so a lot of teams that need a quarterback are going to have to go out of the way and maybe take a chance on a guy like that. And I want to look at the Raiders real quick because they're going to be the ones to acquire Kyler Murray.
MVP
And
season.
I think they'll have an MVP season in Las Vegas. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to get into your playoff team power rankings. Starting off with the lowest ranked playoff team coming in at 14 or 16 in our regular rankings, the Houston Texans. Oh boy. This is going to be a rough game for them against the Chargers.
They're cooked. They're cooked.
Yeah. I don't see much hope for the Chargers in this scenario, or not for the Texans in this scenario. Fun fact about the Texans, every single playoff game the Texans have ever played has been on a Saturday at 3:30.
Really?
Yes, because they love putting the AFC South in that slot because no one cares about the AFC South.
Every single playoff game they've ever played, Saturday at 3:30.
That actually makes sense.
So
they've got a point differential of exactly 0. It's
That's something to be
372
proud of.
for and 372 against.
Not really something to be proud of.
No, not at all, especially with the teams they've played.
Something they should be proud of, though, is the fact that CBS had a game break. Not just the fact they had a game break. They do that for every single game, when they like go and show like highlights from a different game. Here's the thing, though. In the Texans-Titans game, they were featuring a highlight on this game break of the Texans and Titans game.
Yeah, just in case people missed it, And another thing about this game too, I think it's hilarious. I saw this pointed out on social media. The Titans wearing their Houston Oilers throwbacks whenever they play the Texans, hilarious. Kind of hilarious that they're doing that. So yeah, to Texans, they're not a bad team, but in terms of the playoff standard, they're not. I don't see much hope for them. So
they're not winning. If they win the Super Bowl, I'll buy a Texans Diggs jersey.
It's honestly hilarious to me how they went from 10-7 last year and looking amazing to being 9-8 this year and looking horrible. A 1 game difference.
10-7 because they beat the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're 10-7? I thought they were 9-8. My fault. But yeah, my point still stands. Okay, so they're 10-7 team last.
The point stands
year,
even more now.
Is insane. The difference between their teams is absolutely insane. So
they're only in the playoffs because the AFC South is absolutely poverty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
coming in at number 14 in the regular rankings, 13 in the playoff team rankings, we have our stat line winner and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've been falling off lately, and we were pretty nice to them for a while, but I mean, like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Fun fact, Justin Fields has a better win percentage this season than Russell Wilson does.
Shout out Justin
So
Fields.
start Fields in the playoffs.
They won't do that.
No, they won't, but they should.
They won't,
They'll
but
get
they
Um,
should, and it would be gas.
I
Here's the
really
thing.
don't think.
They're either I can give them credit. I think they have a possibility to only win one game, and then the only reason that is the case is because they're playing Baltimore. If they weren't playing Baltimore, they're one and done. They could still very well be one and done, but just because it's Baltimore and sometimes weird things happen in Pittsburgh versus Baltimore, they might be able to get one and then be one and done after that.
That's fair. I don't see it happening, but it could.
6 seed, right?
They play Baltimore.
Correct. I was
Yes,
just trying to
they're
think of what
the
happens
6
if I was just trying to think of what would happen if they do
I
win
mean,
this game. They would
If
go and take on
Buffalo
Kansas
wins,
City.
they play KC. They're not
Yeah.
beating KC.
Yeah, I really don't feel like the Steelers are. I feel like they shouldn't be this low, but at the same time, it's like they 100% deserve to be this low. It's weird. The Steelers are a very weird team this year. So
They got their winning record and then stopped trying, and we all made jokes about it at first, but that's literally what happened.
Yeah.
so who knows, man?
Crazy.
Shout out Justin Fields.
Okay, coming in at now, the top 12 are the top 12 in both the playoff and normal rankings, so it'll be a lot easier. Coming in at number 12, we have the Denver Broncos. Shout out to them for getting a great win against no one. But
I don't want to say a great game. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of speculation that that this wasn't a entirely fair fought game. That the Chiefs did not play. Just leave it at that. The Chiefs did not play. Not to take away from, but like, come on, the Cortland Sutton touchdown, where what happened? It bounced off of the Broncos' hands. Then the Chief lifted it up over the back of his head. And then another Chief scooped it up and like just delivered it into Cortland Sutton's hand. That's not a real thing that happens. It's
No.
not. I don't know. I really believe that the Bengals should hold the 7th seed. Not that the Broncos aren't a good team. The Broncos are a good team. And they have been playing great football, especially the last few weeks. And I can't take that away from them. But that game was just rough. I will say I do think the Broncos have potential to beat the Bills. I'm saying it's probably 7th. I probably say it's probably like 80-20, but I still do think they have the potential there to do so.
I mean, it's a
I agree.
playoff game, so most of these teams at least have potential. Not if they play
Besides
the way they've been
Houston.
playing the past couple weeks.
Besides Houston and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Not Pittsburgh, actually, just Houston, because Pittsburgh got to play Baltimore. But anyway, yeah. I do like the Broncos a lot. I just think I think it's a situation where they're good this year, but they need another year of gearing up before they can really, I mean, they could prove me wrong and make me upset, but, they need another year of gearing up before they're, really contending.
I think the biggest thing the Broncos need to look at is their wide receiver room.
Cortland Sutton's
Not that it's bad. Cortland Sutton's a great receiver. Marvin Mims has actually stepped up quite a bit. He's been playing very good football. The loss of Jerry Jeudy did not. The loss of Jerry Jeudy did not impact the Broncos nearly as much as I thought it would. But I think if they go into the offseason and they either trade for or sign or draft a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I think that's really all they need. And a tight end as well. I actually don't know who their tight end is right now. I know he came from the Steelers though. Or not Steelers, the Seahawks. Unless it's not that guy anymore.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't remember. So so it's probably just tight end. But
Yeah. Okay, coming in at number 11, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They got
congratulations,
the record.
Mike Evans.
Congratulations to
11
Mike Evans.
consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards.
Tying Jerry Rice. Next year he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna break it next year.
Yeah, he will.
Well, if he doesn't break it next year, it's not happening at all.
Yeah.
Because if he ends it next year, he's not going to play for another 12 years.
No.
I'm saying I think he's gonna do it.
Tampa probably got lucky. They get to face Washington, which obviously is not an easy battle, but it's probably one of the most
It's going to be a good
manageable.
one.
It will.
Tampa Bay beat Washington early on in the season, unless I'm wrong.
That was a completely different Washington team. That was gonna be interesting to see how that has all developed since then.
Yeah, and obviously since then the Bucks have lost Godwin, but I don't know. I really do have faith in this Tampa Bay team. Baker Mayfield has very high highs, and not very his lows aren't super low. Bucky Irving has looked amazing. Shout out all the Bucky Irving fan pages. I see all of them, all of them.
Can we?
And Cade Otton, I love Cade Otton as a tight end. He's kind of regressed since the receivers have come back, but I really do think they have a good run. I think they have high potential to make a run. Maybe not super deep, but at least past the first round.
Can we highlight their beginning of the season real quick? In three of their first four games, they beat the Lions, Commanders, and Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had them
Like
pretty
that's
high in the power rankings, and then we slept on them for a while, and now they're pretty much back.
Honestly, I kind of think the Bucks are a better team than the Packers in terms of playoffs.
Packers, yeah.
I think I might have put the Packers above in my own, but thinking about it
Mhm.
now, the Buccaneers are definitely above them. That's fine.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to see how it plays out. I don't know. Although, before we
Ian,
get to the Packers at
Ian put the
number,
Bucks above the Packers actually.
oh, see, there we go.
before we talk about the Packers, we do have at number 10 the LA Rams. Um, Still not super impressed. They looked better with Jimmy G than they have with Stafford in a hot second.
My biggest thing about the Rams is they played one of the best offensive games this season against the Bills. Looked great. We were all like, wow, they're legit skis. And then they just ended up having the worst 4 consecutive weeks after that. Put up more than 20 points a single time.
Still
And then they
winning,
came out
but
this week. They're still winning, but it's just if they go into Minnesota, oh no, Minnesota's coming to them. Min but either way, Minnesota comes into LA. If they have the offensive performance they've been having the past few weeks against the Vikings defense, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well at all. And I don't think their defense is strong enough to pick up the slack of their offense. So I do think the Rams have a very good chance. It's just a matter of how they do offensively.
Correct.
coming in at number 9, we have the Green Bay Packers.
Frauds. You guys suck. Jordan Love, you are the one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever watched play the game of football.
All right.
Okay.
Jair
That's
Alexander.
extreme.
Jair
Let's stop it.
Alexander is likely out for the season. Honestly, I think that makes their team better. Jair Alexander is so overrated. It doesn't make their team better. That's a stretch, but he is very overrated. He's not all that, but I don't know. The Bears screwed the Packers over. The Packers were trying their best to go into Tampa Bay, but now they're going into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. It's gonna be a bloodbath. Um, I don't like the
Depending
Packers
on
at
if
all.
Jalen Hurts is
There's
back.
nothing for me. There's nothing else for me to say. Like, I don't like the Packers at all. So I'll let you guys talk now.
No.
I mean, I've been trying I've been past like 10 weeks. I've been saying, oh, you guys are good. It's just Jordan Love who sucks. But like, I hate them all, to be completely honest. The only guy I like on that team is Jaden Reed.
Every single one of them.
And I
I
respect Josh
hate them.
Jacobs. I respect Josh Jacobs because he's having a really good season. But the rest is just like whatever, to be honest. Jordan Love, I just despise Jordan Love because of how overrated he is. Same thing with Jair Alexander.
You know what's unfortunate for the Packers? They didn't get it's blocked a second time.
Anyway, also Christian Watson is now most likely out for the season. So
Yes. Okay. Coming in at number 8, we have Washington Commanders. Honestly, I think they're just happy that they made the playoffs. Like whatever happens next,
they
like
have
they
very high expectations. They are, yes, but looking at their record, looking at Jaden Daniels, looking at everything that's happened this season, they not just Commanders fans, people in general probably have pretty high like standards and expectations for the Commanders. I I'm willing to bet money right now that the Commanders are the favorites going into Tampa Bay.
Let's check that.
Yeah, let's check.
yeah.
What are we gonna do? Sportsbook or MGM, guys? I'm doing
I trust the
MGM.
I'm
sports
just looking
book.
I was just gonna look at Vegas, but
MGM.
Let's just see what
DraftKings,
ESPN says. Let's just see what ESPN says to start
the
off.
Bucks are the favorites in DraftKings. CBS has the Bucks as favorites. I think the Bucks are
Well,
the
my point still stands.
How much money? How much money? How much money? How much money?
The Commanders are clearly the MGM Sportsbook has the Commanders as the favorites.
You didn't specify what thing. Everyone else is the Bucks.
Hey, everyone uses BetMGM. Come on now. I
In
think. I don't
Vegas?
gamble, guys. I don't gamble, guys. It's
Okay.
insider.com.
Yeah,
One of these
ESPN
sites,
has
bro.
them heavily favorited, but
Okay, VegasInsider.com, if we want to go by Alex's ideal, has the Commanders as the favorites and has a bunch of different lists and actually has the vast majority of them have the Commanders as the favorites, unless I'm just reading this entirely wrong.
Minus means they're the favorite.
Oh, never mind then. None of them have the Commanders as the favorites.
I'm saying is that they're just hyped that they made it because no one thought they would. They haven't had 10 wins
Correct.
in a hot second. So, number 7, we have the LA Chargers. Honestly,
Sorry, real quick. Shout out the Arizona Coyotes for not being a team anymore. Yeah, continue.
but Arizona legislation is trying to bring it back.
Good.
So yeah, the Chargers. They're number 7.
Like I said, I think the Chargers are currently the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the playoffs. So, shout out the Chargers. Shout out Justin Herbert.
I'll also say, just breaking now, after the Chargers win over the Vegas Raiders, about 15 minutes ago, they announced that Antonio Pierce is being fired.
Oh,
Oh,
oh. Well, shout out that. That's kind of surprising.
hey, nice
Yeah,
going there, Alex.
Oh,
they're
also, breaking as of an hour ago, David Montgomery will.
it's
Never mind.
on the list. I put it there already.
No, you didn't. Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Alex is cooking dog.
Don't worry, I always do it for every episode. I'm always stalking the Instagram while we're
So
on.
yeah, shout out the Chargers because they're awesome.
Yeah,
Actually, I'm
we
not
love the
stalking
Chargers.
Instagram. I stalk
All right, coming in at number 6 and 5, we have a tie, a very weird tie between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm voting.
Minnesota's this low.
What?
Minnesota's this low.
I mean, when you lose
After that
30
performance,
8-9 or whatever it was, maybe
31 to
31
9
to 9.
against
Yeah,
the
friends.
Lions. Against
The
the
Lions are gonna
Lions.
score again. They were kneeling at like the 15-yard line of the Vikings.
Against the Lions. I'm taking Minnesota.
No, I'm taking Kansas City.
You really want to say Kansas City's better than Minnesota?
Yes.
Kansas City's
Okay, here's all I'm going to say. Minnesota has been a roller coaster for me. We can say, you guys know, beginning of the season, I was saying that I do not have faith in Sam Darnold, and I thought he would revert back. They played the Cardinals, and then I was like, okay, you're right, I was wrong. And then I started to get super high on the Vikings. I had them at number 1 in my power rankings at one point, and yeah, it was wild. Yeah, and now, I wasn't looking for them to beat I was hoping they'd beat the Lions just to mix some things up. But I wasn't necessarily looking for them to beat the Lions, but you've got to put some points on the board. There are so many teams that played better games against the Lions than they just did. Not forgivable. Terrible game. They got lucky that they're playing playing the Rams. But they're going to have to change something.
All I'll say, the Vikings' their first 2 losses were back-to-back games against the Lions and Rams. They just lost the Lions, now they're playing the Rams. They might do it twice.
That'd be funny. Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs here.
Okay. I just want to know on the Vikings real quick. They are buying Lions game tickets and reselling them to their fans. I believe they bought 2,000 and they're reselling. They're giving them first to season ticket holders and then to the rest of the fans open to purchase.
That was very funny. The Lions were trying to see if they could get a lawsuit because of it, but they could not. Anyways, coming in at number 4, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who had the most glorious big man touchdown to ever grace television.
It wasn't even a touchdown.
Not touchdown.
Just said it immediately.
It's written as yeah, I wrote it as a touchdown in my notes. It was an interception, not a touchdown.
Yeah, it was an interception, but the second he caught it,
it totally could have been a touchdown. But
he took 2 steps and said, nah. And he almost destroyed his leg on the way down.
He said,
I don't know if y'all saw
he
the
said
slide.
he said in a post in a press conference, not a press conference, but to the media afterwards, he said he decided to just go down because he didn't want to become a meme because he knows big man pick sixes can be absolutely memed by the internet. So he was just like, I'm probably never gonna have this kind of play again. So I'm just gonna take it for what it is.
What's the good ones? They're good meme.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't want to become a meme. And I guess I don't blame him for it, but
Speaking of a meme,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
see what I'm going for there.
I wasn't going for anything. I just wanted to see if y'all would segue.
Oh,
Random. You didn't.
No.
You didn't take the
There was
bait.
nothing to
Okay.
segue into.
I know. That's the point.
coming in at number 3, we have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Speaking
Don't
of a
think this
meme,
is a shock.
Saquon hit 2,000 yards last week.
Last week.
We didn't get to touch on that, so that happened last week, week 17, and Sirianni decided to rest him this week, which on one hand I understand, one hand don't understand. Should have just let him get the record anyway, but it's fine. Jalen Hurts is still under concussion protocol. He has not quite cleared it, as Carson stated earlier. I believe it was Carson, right? Yeah. AJ Brown was high off his mind on the sideline of the game. If you've seen the video, you know what we're talking about.
Yup. Don't need to say
And-
anything else. And if you haven't, you can see the video for yourself, or you don't have
As
to.
far as the Eagles go, they're a great team. So they're gonna do good work on the NFC side.
the Eagles are 12-1 after Nick Sirianni shaved his head.
And that too. Who is the one loss?
The flippin' Washington Commanders.
Oh, that's bad. That was a really good game though. That was a really
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really good.
I didn't watch it because I was watching the Cardinals lose, but it was a good game. Coming in at number 2, we have the Detroit Lions. Is this a shock to
That's
anyone? No.
I was telling Alex earlier, the Bills and Lions are 1A, 1B. You could put either
Right.
1 and it'd be a valid list. So I'm not upset by either one being. I put the Lions 1, but I'm not upset with the Bills being 1. Yeah, David Montgomery is going to return for the divisional round. Alex, step on top of that. That happened during the recording.
Correct.
And I'm very happy about that. I love David Montgomery. I always have. I miss him so much. So it makes me happy that he's going to be playing again. Shout out to
Yeah, so post game, Dan Campbell said, I'll see you in 2 weeks to Kevin O'Connell. Before this week, I totally would have been like, oh yeah, they'll easily see each other again. But I don't know. The Vikings got to prove something to me against the Rams. And again, they're lucky they're playing the Rams. But they definitely got to prove something to me.
See, here's the problem.
Give them faith back.
I think the Vikings can beat the Rams, but what if the Commanders beat the Bucks? Then they won't see each other in 2 weeks, and the Vikings are going to Philadelphia. We shall see what happens.
Is it possible? It's possible for them to see each other in the championship, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, but Green Bay would have to
no,
win.
Green Bay or Washington.
Or Washington, you're right.
Right. Okay. So they
I'll
could
say-
see each other.
Minnesota could still get a home game if all the road teams in the NFC side win. Then they'd host Washington, and Green Bay would go to Detroit,
Minnesota.
which is entirely impossible because all the NFC teams are good.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even mention the LA Conference Championship games.
Oh, you're right. I don't think that'll happen, but if
No, it will happen, but just to touch on
No.
it real quick. If both of the LA teams somehow manage to make it to the conference championship games with home field advantage, which would require a lot of teams to lose out, then SoFi would be the host of 2 games. And I did see something that Roger Goodell had said in the past. When this came up, he was asked this, I think, about the Jets and the Giants. I don't know how it came up in that regard, but he said if that were the case, then one game would be held Saturday, the other game would be held Monday. So
Monday, okay.
Monday.
I mean, I would think it'd
Okay.
be back to back, but I mean that makes sense. I think they'd probably do Saturday. I think they could do Saturday, Sunday.
They
but
could definitely do Saturday, Sunday, but I wouldn't. I would understand them doing Saturday, Monday.
Yeah.
The way that would have to happen is that the Broncos would have to beat the Bills and the Chiefs. Then the Chargers would have to beat well, they would just have to win out too. I mean, the easiest way would be them beating the Texans, the Steelers upsetting the Ravens, and then them beating the Steelers.
While
And
we're
then the
talking
Rams-
about all of these, we should quickly mention. Stay tuned for tomorrow, 2 days from now, since recording. But tomorrow, we will be releasing another Alex-led episode where we predict all of
The playoffs.
the playoffs, and it'll be very interesting. So
The Rams to get home field advantage is a lot more simple. They would just need the Lions and the Eagles to lose. Well, actually, they could go a lot of ways about that. They would need all 3 top seeds to lose. either the Eagles or Bucks have to lose in the first round, and then they would just have to win, and then the other high seed team would have to lose to the team that beat the. So basically, either the Commanders or the Packers would have to meet them there.
Okay. And coming in at number 1, it's no shock. It is the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Shout out
NFL
UFL.
records that Josh Allen of the St. Louis Battlehawks has broken in 2024. He is the first quarterback in league history to record a passing, rushing, and receiving touchdown in the game against the Niners. We knew that one. First player in NFL history to record multiple career games of 340 yards passing, 60 yards rushing, 2+ passing touchdowns, and 2+ rushing touchdowns. He did it in back-to-back weeks versus Detroit and the Rams. Steve Young is the other player to accomplish that stat line, and he did it once. First player since the NFL AFL merger with 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. It was against the Rams. First player in NFL history with at least 2 touchdown passes and 2 rushing touchdowns in consecutive games. And the first all time with 3 in a season. Most total touchdowns in the first 7 games. He had the most total touchdowns in his first 7 seasons. There's a bunch of stuff where he was the first to reach a bunch of touchdowns in 7 seasons. They've been doing that with Patrick Mahomes for like years. Him and Mahomes like taking the stats. And they also are the first team to beat multiple 15-win teams in the same season. As well as the fact he has only one other Pro Bowler on his team comparatively to Lamar's 8. And Lamar just hit 4,000 yards passing for the first time in his career. That's his record. He also has another one where I think he was like the first with like 40+ passing touchdowns and less than 5 picks, which is good. That's great.
I mean, we've talked about the Pro Bowl thing. At least we individually have. I don't know if
Jalen Johnson.
That's not a very good case at all, but it is a case.
I mean, I think it's a pretty good case in that highlighting the supporting cast.
Well, so I think a big thing too, you gotta look at the Pro Bowl is the fact that it's fan voted.
Only 1/3 fan voted.
That do you think Jerry Jeudy made it into the Pro Bowl because the other 2/3 had I think well yes, it is only a third, but like I think it has such a bigger impact than I think a lot of people realize because
Yeah.
and that I mean that you don't see people's and Pro Bowl's a popularity contest anyway. Everyone knows this. No one denies it. And I think it's a lot easier to say that the Ravens are a more popular team than the Bills.
It's also fair to say that Lamar's uh, Lamar's Pro Bowl supporting cast is there because of how he supports them. Like we talked about with Derrick Henry, like Derrick Henry helps Lamar because, they can't just worry about Lamar in the legs. He opens up the running game, which then opens up the pass game. But the same is true. Lamar is a dual threat quarterback, which then opens things up for Derrick Henry and vice versa.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It goes both ways, but also
It does, but it's just important to note that they are also there because they have a good quarterback.
And also, I do want to.
Henry would be there anyway.
Like Zay Flowers.
Well, Zay Flowers shouldn't be there anyway.
I do want to make a point too. I'm not really sure who's in what team's favor this would be. I just want to make this point. You guys can look at how you want. If you look at just offensively, okay. The Ravens had 4 total. Yeah, 4 total. One of which was their fullback, Patrick Ricard. Fullback, like what do you want me to say about a fullback? You know what I mean? I think that other one was Kyle Juszczyk, right? And their other one, hold on, am I counting 1, 2, 3? Yeah, they had 5. My fault. They had 5. My fault. And then their center, Tyler Linderbaum, which is like again, what do you want me to say about his center? But like looking at the other guards, so then I would say it's more so offensive split. I'd say it's more so a 3-2. Lamar, Henry, and Flowers as compared to Cook and Allen. It was Cook, right?
It's Deion Dawkins.
Oh, Deion Dawkins was there? Okay, then it's a 3-1.
Yeah.
Cook didn't make it? I swear to God, Cook made it.
Cook did not make it. It was
really just him and Dawkins? That's crazy.
Yep.
Well, it's 3-1, but like I said, I don't know what team this is making a point to. So I would say it's really an offensive 3-1 split.
The
Allen compared to
How did
uh,
Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon make? Okay, whatever.
Joe Mixon makes sense. Joe Mixon has
Joe Mixon
Joe
doesn't make
Mixon
sense.
did have a good season,
Jonathan Taylor
especially the
makes no
beginning of the
sense.
season.
I mean, I guess I
Um,
haven't paid enough attention to the Colts, but I thought Jonathan Taylor was like a
Jonathan
good.
Taylor did not have a good season. Um, but
He had some
then
good games,
but
but
then the Ravens had four defensive um Pro Bowlers, those being Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, not even the Mama Beast, Madu Beast guy. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. And Roquan Smith. Shout out Roquan Smith. Compared to the Bills 0. And we Alex has talked about his defense a few times. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have had a very injured defense.
Correct.
And the in comparison's defense, the Ravens defense is a lot better, which is at least on paper, which is surprising given their records, the difference in records.
I mean, the
So,
Ravens' defense was an issue at the beginning of the season. It's a big
It
issue.
was at the beginning. At the
correct.
beginning of the season.
Which I was kind of getting into. It was a much bigger problem, but at the same time, Allen's defense has also been a problem. You look at the Rams game. So I honestly think at the end of the day, you guys could call me crazy for this. I think Lamar and Allen are actually in very close, not similar, but close situations. Obviously, Lamar has Henry, which is a much bigger upgrade than Cook is, but Cook is still a beast.
True.
Cook is an amazing running back, and I think he has an impact similar to Henry's. Just that I think honestly, Lamar Allen and Cook's impacts on the Bills are the opposite of Lamar and Henry's impact on the Ravens. I think you look at Allen and Cook. Allen is this guy you're scared of making those big physical plays. He'll be the one that goes out and he'll, hit you in your face. He'll do all that. He'll make the crazy plays on the edge. When he runs out, he's on the side and chucks the ball downfield. It's great. Um, and then Cook is the guy that's going to make the electric, flashy, quick plays. Whereas on the other side, Lamar's the one that's going to make those flashy, quick, electric plays. And Henry's the one that's going to hit you in the face, make plays on the outside, stuff, physical plays. You know what I mean? So I don't know where I'm going with this anymore, to be honest. I'm just gonna
I don't
stop.
know. You've been, yeah.
I don't know when this ended up being an MVP debate. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, so I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop there.
We're going to go ahead and give you the full power rankings. So at 32, we have the Titans, 31, the Browns, 30, the Giants, 29, the Raiders, 28, the Patriots, 27, the Jags, 26, the Jets, 25, the Saints, 24, the Bears, 23, the 49ers, 22, the Colts, 21, the Cowboys, 20, the Panthers, 19, the Dolphins, 18, the Falcons, 17, the Cardinals, 16, the Texans, 15, the Bengals, 14, the Steelers, 13, the Seahawks, 12, the Broncos, 11, the Bucks, 10, the Rams, 9, the Packers, 8, the Commanders, 7, the Chargers, 6, the Vikings, 5, the Chiefs, 4, the Ravens, 3, the Eagles, 2, the Lions, and 1, the Bills. We will continue to give you power rankings throughout the postseason, and they will be just of the playoff teams, and then we'll give you our final at the end of the season.
And they will continue to be better than Pete Prisco's.
Correct. Okay, so now we're going to give you our games of the week. We are going to obviously have to change it up a little bit because the postseason is a lot different than the regular season, but AFC matchup and an NFC matchup, and you will continue to get college football playoff games of the week until they're over, which will be pretty soon.
The American Football Conference. The game of the week is Denver at Buffalo. The other two have teams that one's just not good and the other one is falling apart. So this was kind of the reasonable choice that we went with.
The National Football Conference playoff game of the week is going to be the Commanders going into Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Same situation on the NFC side. One game just didn't feel safe enough to pick. This was just the safest, most reasonable option that we could go with. So we still do think it's a good game. We still do believe that this is going to be the best of the three. Baker versus Daniels is going to be a good matchup. So.
And then finally, your NCAA college football 12-team playoff game of the week will be the Orange Bowl, featuring Notre Dame versus Penn State. now I am giving you this as the game of the week because you could easily make the same argument that Ohio State, Texas is going to be very good. However, one, there's a very good chance that Ohio State just absolutely obliterates Texas. And two, because with this game, you will now have had one game of the week featuring all 4 of these finalists because I cooked that way, totally on purpose. So, you'll get to watch all 4. And honestly, you could easily watch both of these games. They're going to be very good. And then you'll have your college football championship, national champion. I will be dropping my predictions on the Instagram and TikTok. Once again, stay tuned for that. So those are your games of the week.
Give me Notre Dame.
We'll see. You'll have to find out. You'll have to find out.
So Carson, did you get our joke this week?
I did not get your joke this week, actually.
That's
I was wondering if you've forgotten. You'll have to tell me what it was. I didn't get it this time.
I guess we'll never know. Thank you for tuning into
But
this episode.
the listeners have to know. But the listeners.
I guess we'll have to reveal that next week. Oh.
You guys didn't have one. You did not have one.
So,
Hey.
yeah.
You didn't
The
have
entire
one.
joke was that we didn't have one and we were going to pretend like we had one.
Yeah.
That's their way of saying they forgot and they planned it.
No, we
halfway
didn't
through.
forget.
No, we actually
discussed
beforehand.
at the beginning. When you left to do the audio check, I told Alex, let's just do nothing this week.
Okay, so then I was right because I said you did nothing. And
Yeah, you did.
so I'm still undefeated in figuring out what the jokes are because I'm that good. Anyways, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us for Footballers Anonymous. We hope you enjoyed the regular season with us. Thank you for sticking with us. Remember, tomorrow our playoff predictions will be dropping. It'll be a live premiere. You can go on YouTube and check it out. You can hang out in the chat if you want. Or it'll be dropping at the same time in podcast format. You may want to watch it on video format because you'll be able to see the bracket. But we will make it easily accessible so you can still enjoy it in podcast form or however you want to listen.
Also, shout out Travis for being single.
Travis, bro. Lock in, bro.
Yeah.
Travis. Poor Travis.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining us for the regular season. We look forward to seeing you after the super crazy wild card weekend. Footballer Nation, let's ride.